Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are so.
Freddie Freeman powered Atlanta's offense through a tough 10-game road trip. Now the Braves are happy to be home, and they're ready to take on red-hot Andrew McCutchen and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Braves and Buccos battle next in Atlanta. There is nothing like baseball in Braves country. Great to be back here at Turner Field on a spectacular night for baseball. Big crowd gathering for game one of our weekend set. The Pittsburgh Pirates are in town, and the Braves hope to get healthy with plenty of home cooking tonight. Hi again, friends, along with Joe Simpson and Hall of Famer Tom Glavine. Chip Carey, welcome to the ballpark. The Braves wrapped up a 4-6 road trip, and now, Joe, come home to face the red-hot Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pirates are playing their best baseball of the year after a slow start, Chip. They climbed into second place in the Central Division. They've won 11 of their last 13, and they just finished a sweep of the San Francisco Giants. Their offense has been good, and Andrew McCutchen, after a slow start himself, has gotten off to a red-hot start, so that's going to pose some problems tonight for Mr. Williams Perez, Tom.
Yes, they are. It's a tough lineup, but certainly a lineup that I think he's going to be looking forward to facing. He's made the most of his opportunity to get in the starting rotation. In 3 games, 1-0 with a 1 ERA and a 2.54 ERA. He's gone deeper into the game each time he's gone out there. He's thrown strikes, not walked a lot of guys. Ironically enough, his highest walk total was in his last game when he walked 4 and ended up winning. So look for him to go out there and continue to attack the strike zone against this ball club.
Let's hope it's a happy homecoming for the Braves. Game 1 here at Turner Field. It's Friday night fireworks. We'll see what happens on the field with lineups and first pitch coming your way right after this. Beautiful night in Atlanta. Williams Perez wrapping up his warm-up tosses. He's set to face the Pittsburgh Pirates, who come to town at 29-24 on the year. Clint Hurdle's their skipper. This is their Academy Sports and Outdoors starting lineup. Always have to worry about Andrew McCutchen. He is sizzling hot. He hit .396 with 18 runs scored in his last 27 ball games. Charlie Morton, a former Brave, is on the mound. And as Tom mentioned a moment ago, Williams Perez gets the start for Atlanta. He's been awfully impressive in rotation.
Yeah, we talked about his numbers as a starter. His numbers overall: 5 games, 3 games started, 1-0 with a 2.66 ERA, 20 innings pitched. So look for him to continue his good work and continue to make the most of this opportunity to get in the rotation.
I think he's gaining confidence every time out, Tom. Every start he gets a little better, goes a little deeper, like you said, just because he's feeling more comfortable.
And the first man he'll face tonight is Gregory Polanco. Polanco made his big league debut June 10th last year. And he's leading off tonight and takes outside, ball 1. Polanco at .250, 3 homers, 13 runs batted in. And he's been a hot hitter. He's got an 8-game hit streak for Pittsburgh. And there's the first strike on an 83-degree night tonight. Wind blowing from left to right toward the Braves bullpen here in Atlanta. And that's rolled into the seats foul. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Pittsburgh begins play in the National League Central, 6.5 games behind the Cardinals. The Cubs are 7 back. Those are the closest teams to the top of the division. Pittsburgh 14-15 on the road, but Clint Hurdle's club comes to Atlanta with lots of confidence. They just swept the defending world champions in their home park.
Yeah, the only bad thing going for them right now is they're 8-2 in their last 10, and so are the Cardinals, so they haven't been able to make up any ground.
1 ball, 2 strikes. A fastball just missed. Ryan Gorman with the appeal at third. That's Polanco checked it.
One of the things I really like about Williams, that was 94. He doesn't have to crank it 94 every time. He's got that 2-seamer that he would rather feature and get early contact.
Little pop fly into right field. Nick Markakis is underneath, and Polanco's retired, and that's how the ball game starts.
Time for the 4 keys for pitching success for Williams Perez, and it does include the first inning. Some of his problems here in his starts, his first 3 starts, have been in the first inning until he gets untracked, and his changeup, which I think he just got an out on. That's been such an important pitch for him, and against this hot hitting team, it'll be a big pitch for him tonight too.
Base is empty for Starling Marte, the Pirates left fielder and team leader in homers. He's got 10 of those. And a strike delivered to the outside corner. Marte hitting .254. He's also knocked in 34 men. Broken bat. Simmons tricky hop at shorts, and a bag in plenty of time. 2 out. This series features 2 pretty good defensive clubs too. Let's see how the Braves fare with the leather in the series. Cunningham, Maben, and Markakis left to right in the outfield. Pedro Siriaco gets a start at second base for Jace Peterson. Andre Aldridge will have more on that story in a few moments. Uribe makes his home debut for Atlanta. That's your CPI Security Braves defensive lineup. Andrew McCutchen. Gone are the long flowing locks. Not gone is the incredible offense from one of the game's great young superstars. The MVP of the league 2 years ago, a 4-time All-Star, Andrew McCutchen.
And over the last month, on May 6th, that's when it got started, he's hit right at 400.
Swing and a drive toward left, but that's going to stay in the park. Cunningham's got it. Hey, good start for Williams Perez. That first inning of key got the Pirates in order. Charlie Morton to face the Braves in the bottom of the first. First inning, here come the Braves at 26-27, only 3 games out of first place in the National League East. Cameron Maybin will be atop the Academy Sports and Outdoors starting lineup with Jace Peterson inactive in a starting role tonight. That means Pedro Siriaca will make his first start at second for Atlanta tonight. Home debut for Juan Uribe. And Tommy, a familiar face, pitching for the Pirates tonight.
Yeah, former Brave Charlie Morton's out there making his 3rd start on the year and seems to be healthy, as Joe said in the open. 2 starts, 2-0 with a 1.93 ERA. So he's pitched very well since getting back up here to Pittsburgh.
And Charlie Morton off to a great start, 2-0, and a quick strike to Cameron Maybin. Cameron having a great year, 268 average, 5 homers. And with Jace Peterson out of the starting lineup tonight, Freddie Gonzalez puts his hottest hitter, highest on base guy in the leadoff spot, at least of late, and that's Maybin. A 403 on base in his last 17 games. And a bouncer off the plate. Tough play for Gaunt at third. High throw, infield hit for Cameron Maybin.
Cameron realized that was going to be a fair ball immediately. He was running out of the box quickly. Wasn't one of those that was near the line that he thought might roll foul, and he watched it. Watch this. Immediately put his head down.
So after a 10 for 33 road trip for Maybin, he's off to a good start at home, a leadoff infield hit, and that'll bring up Andrelton Simmons. See if Andrelton can fill up that hole on the right side of the Pirate infield. Big hole between Pedro Alvarez and Neil Walker. And Maybin draws the throw.
Charlie Morton's filled out a little bit since he left Atlanta. He was tall and lanky. He's still tall. He's 6'5". He's 235, and now 31 years old.
He's just hoping to get healthy and be productive for Pittsburgh as the runner goes. Got a good jump. The throw is way late. No chance for Cervelli as Maybin swipes his 8th base, and he's in scoring position with nobody out.
Cervelli's only thrown out 1 out of every 4 base stealers, so the Braves may try to take advantage of that in this series. Good jump by Cameron here early on. Good crossover. Andrelton helped him a little bit by faking the bunt.
That one all the way to the backstop, and Maybin will take third on a wild pitch.
Even in his rehab assignments, Charlie pitched really well. Didn't give up many runs with the exception of 1, was a little rough. But everything has been real good getting to the big leagues, and he's carried that right on into this.
Yeah, he pitched well, like you said, his rehab 7 innings, 6 1/3, and 2 7-inning outings back in the big leagues.
Fouled away by Simmons. 2 balls and a strike. Well, pitching has been a big part of the Pirates' real resurgence. Last 14 games for the Pirates, their starters are 11-1. Averaging more than a strikeout an inning over that stretch. And a base hit the other way. A thing of beauty for Andrelton Simmons, and the Braves manufacture the game's first run. That was awesome.
Braves baseball at its finest here in 2015. Just fought it off, wasn't trying to do too much with it.
No, just trying to, like we talk about all the time, trying to do the right thing, put the ball in play with a runner in scoring position, and you end up getting a good result.
So 22 RBIs for Simmons. That snaps an 0 for 11 slide. And Freddie Freeman's the batter, and the Pirates try to shift, but they had a mix-up in the middle infield.
Cervelli had to tell him, step off.
Yeah, they had men in motion on that play.
Yeah, they did. They were square dancing out there.
Freddie Freeman had a monster road trip for Atlanta. He hit 5 homers on the 10-game trip, and now is up to 10.
I say the way he was swinging at the shift won't matter. He's going to hit him in the seats.
Rocket shot into right center field. That's going to get down for a hit. And Charlie Morton hasn't retired a hitter yet. 3 straight singles for the Braves. Simmons stops at second.
I know the reputation for Polanco is that he's got a good arm, and he does. But when I've watched him play, it's very inaccurate. I mean, there's a lot of tailing action to his throws, and Appleton chose not to try to take third here. And probably a smart play, but I'd like to see them at least test him and see if he can put a throw on the bag.
Here's another hot hitter for the Braves. Right fielder Nick Markakis. He's hitting .307. And 3 straight multi-hit games for Nick. Takes a curve for a strike.
What was the note I saw? 5 doubles in his last 6 at bats.
He's the 4th man to hit in the inning. Nobody out. And across the shoe tops. Even count. Offense for the Braves has not been the problem. They're scoring lots of runs. They scored 8 in Arizona on Wednesday night. That missed inside. They scored 6 on Tuesday and 8 on Monday. They had a huge series at the plate against the Diamondbacks, yet were able to win just one of those 3 games. Two balls and a strike. And out of play, 2-2. Maben got it started with an infield hit. Clint Hurdle watching Charlie Morton struggle in the first. 2-2. Up the middle. They had him played perfectly. Flip to second, and the throw to first is double play. Mercer to Walker to Alvarez. Simmons to third. That's a big ground out for Charlie Morton. 2 down.
Exactly right, Chip. I mean, playing him behind the bag nearly at second base. Ball's hit right to him.
Been a Pirate specialty, though, the double play ball. Turned a bunch of them this year. Charlie Morton, ground ball specialist, 60% of his outs on the ground, so that's exactly what he needed and certainly what the Buccos defense needed.
That's the 63rd double play turned by Pittsburgh, and now Uribe bats his first at bat at Atlanta as a Brave. And it went almost to the backstop. 1 ball, no strikes.
I had that number written down. I couldn't find it. I knew it was there somewhere.
You're just out of practice.
Exactly.
Juan's been a welcome addition at the plate. He's hit a couple of homers as a Brave. And Tommy, I don't know if you saw all the games on the West Coast. He made a couple of incredible plays at third base. Rocket shots playing in on the grass. And always strong throws to first.
Yeah, I mean, he can hit, obviously, but he can pick it over there at third base. They're good hands.
There's a strike.
One of the things we learned about him, too, and we're told after the Braves picked him up, is I know you remember how accurate Vinny Castillo was with his throws, and Uribe's been compared to him.
Just missed. Cervelli held it. Morton with a long look in, and tripped Gibson, the home plate umpire tonight.
It was a pretty good pitch.
And Uribe walks with 2 outs. Men are at the corners. Only the second walk for Morton this year. Again, he's pitched just 14 2/3 innings so far for the Pirates. And Now AJ Pierzynski bats. He's the Atlanta catcher tonight.
Yeah, well, what a shot in the arm for the Pirates rotation to have this guy come back after all these hip issues that he had and throw 7 innings in each of his first 2 starts. They're not having to baby him, obviously.
No, you know, for all the issues that he's had, like you said, health-wise and whatnot, to see him come back and his first 2 starts back in the big leagues, pitch the way he's pitched, they got to be thinking, oh man, maybe he's finally healthy, like you said, and figuring something out here, and could be a huge addition for him.
With Burnett, Liriano, Cole, they got some starters, boy. Jeff Locke tomorrow.
High curveball. Pierzynski took it for a strike.
That's what I remember about Charlie. That big cook. It's a good one.
AJ at 267 for the year. They're trying to tie him up inside. It's 0-2. Uribe's running, and a shot towards second, and through the wickets of Neil Walker. It had plenty of spin on it. Atlanta gets a gift run. An error on Neil Walker, and the Braves get a gift.
His 4th error of the year. Looked like an easy play, and that big hop came right up between the wickets, like you said. Missed everything. He couldn't believe it. That's their 39th error. They came in 11th in the league in defense.
So it's 2-0, and more pitches for Charlie Morton in the first. Todd Cunningham bats, and skies 1 foul. Todd had a 1-for-28 stretch working for Atlanta at the plate. He's figured that out. He has 5 hits in his last 9 at bats, and he's bumped his average back over 300. And he served that one foul and out of play. In that final game against the Diamondbacks on Wednesday, Atlanta, as I said, scored 8 runs. All 8 runs came with 2 outs. Braves have 1 2-out run tonight.
Morton's already given up 3 unearned runs. Make it 4 now. 4 unearned runs in just 2+ starts. So they're not playing very good defense behind him if he's getting those ground balls.
Uribe at third, Pierzynski at first. A walk and an error after a double play. And now a shot towards center. McCutchen on the run. Great jump. And he glides into the gap to make the play to retire the side. Braves get 2 runs, 3 hits, an error, and 2 left. We head to the second. Braves.com. Voting this year is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Braves.com. Braves need your help. Last balloting, only one Brave regular was in the top 10 in voting at any position for the National League All-Star team, and that was catcher A.J. Pierzynski. Pirates find themselves in a sticky situation after an inning. Charlie Morton allows a couple of runs. A Pittsburgh error at second scored the second Atlanta run. And now Williams Perez will face Walker, Kong, and Alvarez for the Buccos. Native Pittsburgher Neil Walker leads off. He's hit 3 homers. He's knocked in 20, and he's batting .267. So Williams Perez got through the first with little trouble. Let's see what happens in the second. A strike. Joe, that's why that key was so important, right?
Yeah, those batting averages after the first inning become pretty minuscule, and he hasn't given up an earned run from the second inning on.
An even count with Walker. And fouled straight back.
Tougher for Tommy, for finesse guys or power guys to kind of get going in that first couple of innings.
Well, being a finesse guy and having had that issue, I would say finesse guys, because I mean I think you have to go out there and not only establish throwing strikes, but you got to figure out what's working.
It's kind of a loaded question.
Right, but I think for power guys, the first inning is no different than a lot of situations that we jokingly talk about with a power guy, where you sit out there and you go, well, geez, I'm not really sure what to do here. Let's try 97 and see if we can get away with that. As a finesse guy, you can't do that.
Look at that breaking ball. Nasty. Maybe a changeup. It took a hard turn in on Neil Walker, and that's the first strikeout.
It's kind of it's a circle change, but he kind of rolls it over, Tommy. And I mean, because he slingshots it out here, it looks like it's never going to get to the plate.
I think that one there, you look at the replay, it kind of probably ended up a little bit more in the heart of the plate than he wanted. So I think it clearly fooled him on speed and a little bit of movement.
This is an intriguing player for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jung Ho Kang is a shortstop third baseman. He had 40 homers last year in the Korean baseball organization, and is the first player from that league to come and play in the major leagues as a position player. The Pirates paid a $5 million posting fee and then signed this man to a 4-year, $11 million contract.
He's already provided them with some big hits.
And it's inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Further proof of the internationalization of the great game of baseball. All about the players from the Caribbean, Latin America, South America, Japan. Well, Korea, they're coming. This guy's a good player. 2-2 pitch. Just inside, full count.
Did you say Chan-Ho Park might have been the first?
As a pitcher,
yeah,
but from that specific Korean league, he's the first position player.
I know, but I mean, from Korea, from South Korea, Chan-Ho kind of opened the door a little bit.
Check swing, roller, foul, out of play. It is as you can imagine, a dramatically different lifestyle. In the Korean baseball organization, every road trip is taken by bus, and the farthest road trip is 4 hours. Think about how different that is compared to Major League Baseball here in the States as he takes a walk. And he's the first base runner of the night. A 1-out free pass for Jung Ho Kang. That's how you pronounce it. Looks like Kang, but it's pronounced Gong.
And only his 9th walk in 115 at bats.
Here's Pedro Alvarez, former star at Vanderbilt. Last year was the Pirates' opening day third baseman for the 4th straight year. They moved him across to first base, against Atlanta last August 18th. He's been the first baseman since. Alvarez 9 homers, 27 knocked in, and hitting .244 for the year. In the air towards center. Maben will try to cut it off. He'll play it on a third hop. He bobbles the ball. Alvarez thought about going to second. He stopped. And now Simmons fakes a throw back to third as Gong wandered too far around third. They were yelling, "Get back!" As Andrelton Simmons, as we know, will throw behind a base runner on the base pass.
Well, the base coaches for the Pirates have flipped jobs from last year. Nick Leiva's moved over to first. Rick Sofield's now at third, and Sofield was waving him home. He had to throw up a late stop sign after Maben recovered.
So Francisco Cervelli's the batter. Former Yankee catcher is the man charged with replacing Russell Martin, who went to Toronto on a big free agent contract. So far, the Pirates are thrilled with Cervelli's work.
I was going to say, so far they got to be pretty happy with what he's done to replace Russell Martin.
And another base hit. Pittsburgh's on the board. Alvarez will stop at second as Gong comes home to score. And after the strikeout, a walk and 2 singles makes it a 2-1 game.
Oh, my baby!
That looked like that had a lot of the plate too. Yeah, right down Broadway. This team doesn't hit into a lot of double plays. In fact, they've only grounded into 29 for the year, and that's the best in the National League. That's the lowest. Use one here.
And Jordy Mercer is the Pirates shortstop. Like his Pirates club, he has started slowly at the plate. Also like his Pirates club, he's heating up. Two homers. They've come in consecutive games for the Pirates. And too high. 1 ball, no strikes. Jordy Mercer out of Tologa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. Joe, where's Tologa?
I knew you were going to ask me, and I don't know.
Don't know?
No. I know it's a real small town, I'll tell you that.
Should have just said it was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in that central, northeast, southwest area, maybe northwest.
Somewhere north of Texas.
Yeah. Right in there between Texas and Kansas.
1 ball, 1 strike. In the air to center. Maben measures that up and gets his man. There's the second out.
It's a little northwest of Oklahoma City, Chip. Right out there by Mulhall and northwest of Watonga. Does that help you?
It helps me. Thank you. Yeah, helps a lot.
I got a lot of help too.
Here's Charlie Morton. Injuries have been a big problem for Charlie, and that's a shame. He's got good stuff. Tommy John surgery, the torn hip labrum that required surgery. He's in the middle year of a 3-year contract that he signed with the Pirates. And this one's blooped foul down the first base side. Freeman sliding try, can't get there. He lost the glove. And great effort for Freeman. And it's a swinging strike for Morton.
It's funny. I just talked to Freddie today about how does he break his glove in. You know, where does he break it? With the middle of the glove in the pocket. And he goes, oh, I just let the glove break in where it breaks in and just hope it stays on my hand. Funny.
You know, that one didn't cooperate so much in that play.
No.
0-1 for Charlie. And a strike. Nice story on Morton in the Pittsburgh papers. They feel that they finally got him back mechanically where he needs to be. He said he created a lot of bad habits trying to compensate for the hip injury. Pitched through a lot of pain and finally could bear it no longer. As he is struck out, Williams Perez surrenders one but not the lead. A 1-out walk, 2 singles puts Pittsburgh on the board for the first time. We head to the home second. It's 2-1 Atlanta. And there's a reason why Pedro's in the starting lineup tonight. And to tell us why, let's check in for the first time with Andre Aldridge. Andre?
All right, Chip, thanks a lot. As you guys mentioned earlier, no Chase Peterson at second base tonight. And that's because of a bruise between his left thumb and forefinger. Now, with the off day yesterday, they decided to go to the doctor, and he got a cortisone shot there. He's had the problem for a while. Freddie Gonzalez said really it's a problem of gripping the bat, that if he really wanted to, he'd get Jason to the game tonight as a pinch runner or possibly for defense, but he doesn't want him in here trying to grip the bat, but that would defeat the purpose of getting a cortisone shot yesterday. Of course, that's only what Jace wants to do over the past 35 games. He's hit .290 and 131 at-bats with an on-base percentage of .365, so hopefully we'll see him back on the field, Chip, on Sunday.
Thank you, Andre. It's a great report. Hopefully that injection will calm that discomfort down for Jace, who's playing great on the just completed road trip for Atlanta. So Pedro Siriaco makes his first start of the year for the Braves at second base tonight. And he takes inside from Charlie Morton. 1 ball, no strikes.
Might remember a couple of games ago, Chip, that Jace put down a couple of bunts. They had a shift on for him, so he had an opening, but that kind of explains too. Maybe that thumb was bothering him to swing.
In for a strike. It's 2-1. Charlie Morton gave up 2 runs in the first. A Neil Walker error, the difference in the game to this point. It was outside. Pedro didn't chase it. Full count. Williams Perez to follow. He's the Braves pitcher, and he stands on deck. Line to second. Walker catches this one. And Siriaco is the first out. Let's check out the rest of the Pittsburgh Pirates defensive lineup. CPI Security tells us that Andrew McCutcheon controls center field. He is as good as it gets. Polanco and Marte, 2 youngsters in the outfield corners. Gong, Mercer, Walker, and Pedro Alvarez at first. Cervelli we've seen behind the plate. Of course, Charlie Martin is the man on the mound. Williams Perez 1 for 6 as a hitter. And takes the ball. It's a couple that Charlie's really pulled to the glove side and nowhere close to the plate. 2-0. That's it for a strike. That'd be some nerves for Charlie Morton. He's never beaten the Braves. He's 0-2 against his former club. The losses came to Jair Jurgens and Derek Lowe. Remember them? Pitch. And foul at the plate.
Yeah, the last time he faced him was 4 years ago. That was May of 2011.
The Braves traded Charlie Morton and Jeff Locke to the Pirates for Nate McLouth. And at the time, that was a deal everyone in baseball said, what a fantastic trade for Atlanta. They got an all-star leadoff man center fielder who could really go get him in exchange for 2 pitching prospects. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well as Atlanta had hoped. McLouth wasn't very successful here as a Brave.
Well, it just so happened that the Pirates had another center fielder up their sleeve.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll say.
There he is. Full count pitch. And Perez takes a walk. Charlie Morton walks the pitcher with 1 out. That might require some more bubble gum for Clint Hurdle.
Clint Hurdle's done a great job with this organization already. His 5th year, surprisingly, managing this club, and has had him in the postseason the last 2 years as a wild card team. Last year, they happened to run into a Madison Bumgarner buzzsaw who blanked them in what turned out to be one of the great postseasons in history with Madison Bumgarner. 2 years ago, they won the wild card game but got beat in 5 games by St. Louis.
2 years ago, Clint Hurdle, the National League Manager of the Year. I believe he was the runner-up last season for Pittsburgh when they won 88 games. That's fouled off Cervelli. 1 ball, 1 strike. Really no secret why the Pirates have done what they've done. Last year, their team ERA 3.74, the second lowest ERA for a Pirate team in 27 years.
Very underrated pitching coach too in Ray Searage.
May be better because that man, A.J. Burnett, is back. Bouncing ball by Maben the other way. And Charlie Morton can't believe that. Boy, is Cameron swinging the bat beautifully in the 1 and 2 spots on the lineup card for the Braves.
Well, I'm going to say that a lot of these opponents that are looking at scouting reports, pitchers in particular, about the Braves, and they say, well, they put the ball in play, they don't strike out as much. I don't think you can appreciate the way their approach has changed, and these new people have changed it.
No, I mean, this is, to me, again, I tend to look at things as a pitcher. This is a much more difficult lineup to pitch to than the one last year.
Now Simmons drives one deep toward the gap left center field. McCutchen says he's got it. He does. Wynn knocked that back to him. And there's the second out. Well, we mentioned earlier, Braves and Pirates entered this game having scored the exact same number of runs. Atlanta with 224, Pittsburgh 224. Strikeouts. Pirates have struck out 418 times, the Braves 359. 1 strikeout a game less than Pittsburgh. Make of that what you will. No Brave has yet struck out tonight. Here's Freddie Freeman. He singled in the opening inning. And a strike. Hard to believe, too, fellas. With this game, we reached the 1/3 mark in the season. This is game number 54. Atlanta trying to get back to 500 tonight. Strike 1. And strike 2. Check out our Home Depot tools from the dugout. Atlanta's Done great work with runners in scoring position.
And with 2 out, 4th in the league at 292, which is an outstanding number.
Perez and Maben are the Braves base runners, and the pitch. 2-2. Morton's laboring a bit. He's approaching 50 pitches already. And a bouncing ball. Foul. We'll do it again.
That's a good pitch by Charlie, trying to come to the back door with that big hook and got Freddie to roll over it, but pulled it foul. You throw a pitch like that and you get what you want with a ground ball and it goes foul. It's got to be upsetting.
You missed to run it full, and Perez at second, Maben at first will get a head start.
Yeah, just if you're Williams, just don't get picked off. Don't get in a big hurry to get that big jump.
Runners go, and Freeman shoots one towards second. Walker to a knee, and that'll end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. We head to the 3rd. Top of the order coming up for the Pirates.
For a chance to win round-trip airfare anywhere Delta flies in the continental United States, 2-night hotel accommodations, and $250 spending cash. Enter on your mobile devices or computer at foxsports.com/south/Delta. Good luck.
And good luck to Williams Perez, who gets ready for the top of the 3rd inning on a beautiful night in downtown Atlanta. It's trivia time. As always, our trivia presented by our friends at AT Uverse. Andrew McCutcheon is in town. He's the face of the Pirates franchise, and since his debut in 2009, he's tied for 11th in baseball with a .385 on-base percentage with a minimum of 400 at bats. Who has the highest on-base percentage in the big leagues in the last 6 years?
Guy who walks a lot, I'm going to guess Joey Votto.
That's a great call. He walks so much he can even get a base on balls with 3 balls.
Oh yeah,
did you see that the other day? Everybody in the ballpark missed it. Cincinnati was at the plate. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. He flipped the bat away, got to first base without a 4th pitch out of the strike zone.
He beats the system every time.
How does that happen? Top of the order. Here's Polanco. Flat out to right. His first time up. Pirates are very obviously excited about their ball club, excited about their present. They should be very excited about their future. Every single member of their starting 8 tonight is under 30 years of age. All of them. Polanco's the baby. He's 23. And the other thing they're very excited about, Joe, is the versatility that they have. Josh Harrison, Jose Tabata. A lot of interchangeable parts in the infield and the outfield for Clint Hurdle.
Think about Harrison in the year he had last year. And he's kind of been relegated to platoon type duty. There's old Corey Hart too.
Yep. Former Brewer and Mariner. Pitching balls at a strike. Or Polanco slashes it out of play. Well, Pittsburgh has some work to do. As Tom mentioned, they're playing their best baseball right now, but nobody can gain ground on the Cardinals. They play in Los Angeles later on tonight. Pittsburgh 6.5 back in the Central. And if they're going to win their division, they've got to play better in the division. Pittsburgh's 12-16 against the rest of the Central so far.
I bet a lot of that though was early. You know, they're coming around.
Full count, pitch for Polanco, and that's not close. Leadoff walk. So 2 walks for Perez. Polanco's a fast runner, and he's aboard in front of starting Marte. Yep, you're right about that, Joe. They lost their first 3 games of the year. Got swept by the Reds. Split 4 with the Cubs. And lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs. Got swept by the Cardinals. Lost 2 more to Cincinnati out of 3 tries.
Wow.
And got them to May 8th. And all of a sudden, the switch went on with the Pittsburgh Ball Club. They had a great homestand before heading out on this road trip. Swept the Mets, swept the Marlins, went 6-0 in that portion of the homestand. The pitch, a ball. The ball dropped by Brzezinski, and no chance to get Polanco. Just stole his 15th base.
Yeah, he was itching to go the whole time he was over there.
3rd in the league in stolen bases with 15. Those are some big strides.
So Marte a chance to drive him home, and Perez missed again. Ball 2. A.J. Brzezinski is out for a visit.
That's one way to stay out of those double plays. They don't hit in a minute, just get on and steal.
Pittsburgh now with 40 steals as a club. And the 2-0 is up and away. Ball 3. And danger lurking in the on-deck circle. Green light Marte, 3-0. Let's see. It's a strike. That's base on balls. Back-to-back walks. And here is Andrew McCutchen. We talk all the time, guys, about players being superstars on the field. How about off? Look what Andrew McCutchen did the other day with San Diego Padres and their fans. A couple of youngsters wearing their Pirates gear. And Andrew McCutchen, after the game, ran over, gave him the batting gloves, and made friends and fans for life. That, to me, is as good as it gets.
Yeah, no kidding. You love seeing that.
It takes so little time to make such gigantic impact. You could just see the utter joy on those youngsters' faces. McCutcheon took just 10 seconds to make their night.
I'll tell you what, I was just looking at those gloves he's got on tonight. I might go down and hang out by the rail.
Pretty snazzy, aren't they? No balls and a strike. McCutcheon lined out to end the Pittsburgh first. In the air to right, and right at Markakis. Polanco's going to try to tag at second. He will, and throw will be cut off. McCutcheon moves Polanco up 90 feet. And now Neil Walker bats the double play in order, and one man out.
That's a good out there. Take just a fly ball from him there.
Walker struck out on a filthy changeup. Let's see how Williams approaches him in his second matchup. Walker's hit to just 3 double plays. One here would end the inning and preserve a 2-1 Braves lead. Runner at first goes, and a fly ball to center. Maven's coming in. He is there. There's the catch. The throw is going to come toward the plate. It skips high off the mound, and Brzezinski's able to knock it down. So not hit deeply enough to bring home Polanco. And the Pirates were hoping Maven would be deked into throwing the ball to first. He didn't.
That's why Freddie Freeman stayed at first base. No cutoff man. But from that distance, Cameron should have been able to clear the mound with his throw.
So here's Gong. And another look at the Maven throw. Did he re-tag?
I don't think so.
He paused and looked at the bag before he scampered back to first, but no appeal apparently. Instead of throw to first. Gong snapped an 0 for 14 run with a double on Wednesday for Pittsburgh. He walked and scored the first Pirate run. Trying to crowd him, missed inside. 1-0.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be the book on him. Went in there a couple times that first at bat too.
These have to be uncomfortable pitching situations for you, though, Tommy. You really don't know, do you?
No, you don't. You don't. I mean, you know, like we've talked. I mean, I guess it's similar in this particular instance to maybe some interleague matchups where you're not real familiar with guys, but at least, you know, at least today with all the video they have, I'm sure these guys have watched a number of at bats, so they have a pretty good idea of what it is or how it is they want to try to attack them. But it's like anything else. You can watch video and all you want, but until you really get in there and have that at bat and see how he reacts to your stuff, you know, there's still a little bit of uncertainty.
2-0 pitch. Marte at first, Polanco at third. 2 outs. Found its mark. 2-1 now. 2 more with the Pirates this weekend. Then the Padres come to town for a 4-game series beginning Monday. San Diego plays this weekend in Cincinnati. 2-1 pitch. Bouncing ball to short. Simmons has it. The flip to Siriaco ends the inning. Williams Perez pitches around a couple of walks back to back to start the inning. He's got a 1-run lead, 2-1 for Nick Markakis. Nick Markakis leads things off. Fellas, he's our T-Mobile game changer.
One of the knocks on, and it was hard to find a knock for the Braves to sign a guy like Nick Markakis, but was that he hadn't hit for a lot of power in recent years because of his injuries, wrist, neck, whatever. You know what? The guy's hitting doubles left and right. I know they're not homers, but he is hitting, man.
No, I mean, I think this is the guy that would have been perfect in the middle of this lineup last year. Yes. with all the power they had around him to have him to bat like this. But I still think he's a really good addition to this lineup because I think his style of hitting is kind of the approach that the whole team has taken, really.
Yeah.
You know, put the ball in play, try to spray it all over the place, and, you know, hit your home runs when they come.
And the cool thing is he hasn't changed his approach 1 inch from leading off to batting third to batting cleanup. It's the same every time up there.
I mean, he would be the guy that you would definitely use the term professional hitter on.
And when you talk about consistency, as he draws a leadoff walk, Nick Markakis hitting .305 against right-handers. Nick Markakis hitting .310 against left-handers, and that was a real sore spot for the Braves. Frankly, Jason Hayward.
For Jason, yeah. I don't think Nick's regained all his strength yet either from the neck surgery. I think he'd be the first to tell you that. Does that parlay into 20 homers later in the season? No, but it's going to get better and better.
So Charlie Morton 3 walks already tonight, and Uribe sprays 1 past Terry Pendleton.
And he's trying to go to right field.
And Cervelli can't get their signals straight.
There's nobody on second. Shouldn't be that tough.
Big cut, and on the recoil, I think Uribe popped Cervelli's left elbow.
Didn't hit the elbow joint, but right in the middle of forearm.
That's going to leave a mark. No balls, 2 strikes. Markakis at first after a leadoff walk. And Uribe couldn't stop his swing. He's down on strikes. That wasn't a strike. First strikeout for Charlie Morton tonight.
That almost looked like a. I know he's going to throw me a breaking ball. Uh-oh. And try to get a piece of it at the last second.
A.J. Przinsky reached on the Neil Walker first inning error that chased home Andrelton Simmons, and he showed bunt with the shift on and fouled it back and out of play. Tried it again.
Wasn't too happy with his attempt.
No.
You always can tell somehow, some way with AJ.
Yeah.
He's got a fight on his hands. He's down 0-2. Breaking ball, fly ball, left center field. That's going to get down. Markakis on his way to third. They're going to wave it. And he will score standing up as A.J. Przinsky on an 0-2 count doubles to left center.
It's an old saying about take 2 and go to right.
Yep.
Well, there's a new one. Bunt twice and go to left. Looked like McCutcheon had a little trouble coming up with that clean lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe that's just poor execution on the pitch, but you got a guy who clearly is thinking the opposite way. And with 2 strikes, you throw him something off speed that you know he's going to try to stay back. I'm going to go the other way with.
Bounce at first. Cunningham is retired. Runner to third. Przinsky, 2 outs now. Let's see how Pittsburgh plays it here. You've got first base open and the pitcher due next. Already a 3-1 Atlanta game.
Maybe give him a pitch or 2, see if he can get ahead in the count or get him to get himself out.
They did. Line drive left and a great running catch.
Can't believe that hung up.
Marte took away a gapper for Pedro Ciriaco, and Charlie Morton played with fire and nearly got burned. A.J. Przinsky did burn them with a double on a 2-strike pitch. That brought home Nick Markakis, and it extends the Atlanta lead 3-1 after 3 at Turner Field.
XCX will perform after the game this Wednesday, June the 10th, for a free post-game concert presented by Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines. VIP field and backstage passes are available now. Go to Braves.com/tickets for all the details.
Now, I'm sure you watched every inning of every game on the road trip, so you're fully aware of what XCX means for Charlie.
Yeah, you guys are trying to figure out what the Roman numerals were, I think, right?
That's right.
At one point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But isn't it hugs and kisses or something like that?
Exactly. Way to go.
Way to go. So Charlie XCX, apparently it's Kiss Charlie Kiss. So we have Freddie OFO. X's are kisses, O's are hugs. Is what Christina Fitzpatrick was able to sniff out for us on the road trip.
Okay.
So now we're clear about that. Here we go, fourth inning. 3-1 Atlanta. Pedro Alvarez leads off for the Pirates. He has a second inning single. Joe, it sounds like a simple thing to do, to be a lifetime third baseman and then move across the diamond to play first base. Is it as easy as casual fans might think?
No, I think most people think it is, that's where you send everybody or anybody that has a little problem defensively, and they learn right away that's not an easy place to hang out. A lot of responsibility, and where you're in a lot of plays at third base, you're in 10 times as many at first base, and your infielders are not always obliged to make a good throw to you. You've got to be the cutoff man.
Fly ball toward left. Cunningham retreats near the track. Room to play it, and he's got it for out number one. Well, Pedro is learning on the job. Pittsburgh has 39 errors. He's got 8 of them.
Yeah, he's got a work cut out for him.
But he can hit.
He's made for that ballpark. He's just great for it.
Yeah, the hitting, if he's driving guys in, they'll look the other way on a few of those errors.
And against the real tough lefties, that's why they've got Corey Hart. They can give Alvarez the day off and play Corey at first base. And here's Francisco Cervelli. As I mentioned, a former Yankee.
So was Russell Martin when they signed him or traded for him.
Pirates gave the Yankees pitcher Justin Wilson last November. A 29-year-old out of Valencia, Venezuela, and Tampa, Florida resident. 49 games with the Yankees last year, hit .301. There were some who really were worried about the Pittsburgh Pirates, how in the world they would recover after losing Russell Martin to the Toronto Blue Jays. There's no way Pittsburgh was going to match the financial considerations that Martin received from Toronto. Cervelli's been terrific.
Well, it was especially highlighted at the beginning of the year when they were struggling. Everybody kind of laid the blame on the fact, not on Cervelli, but on the fact that Russell Martin wasn't here.
He was ready to head to first base, laid the bat down, but took a strike, full count.
PNC Bank Fox Tracks. Good pitch.
Bouncing ball up the middle and into center field. So Cervelli is 2 for 2. Boy, that last camera shot when he was taking his stance, he reminded me of Jason Kendall for a second.
Yeah, he does look like it a little bit.
Jason Kendall, terrific hitting catcher, and the rarest of all, he was a leadoff hitting catcher for a while.
Well, he's glad now that that pitch was called a ball.
And here's Jordy Mercer. He flied out his first time up. Bouncing ball toward third. Uribe is going to have one play. He makes it to first, 2 out. Cervelli at second. And Charlie Morton's due.
Another tough throw, but made to look easy by Uribe, flat-footed.
Since 2011, Uribe leads the majors with a .979 fielding percentage as a third baseman. One ball, no strikes for Charlie Morton. 2 outs here in the fourth. Ball foul. Didn't even count. Charlie's married now, has 2 children. A son, Charles V, and a daughter, Grace. Was born last October. Again, in that article that was in the Pittsburgh paper, he talked about how he really has grown up and how being married and having children takes care of that. Times were a little tough, though, when his daughter was born. Apparently, Charlie's wife, Cindy, had to have a cesarean section for the delivery. He was on crutches coming back from his hip surgery, so it was a little chaotic around the Morton house.
Yeah, had it working, didn't he?
You bet. A 1-year-old and a newborn.
I was just thinking, there's like the home plate umpire tonight. His name is Trip Gibson. Maybe he's the third, you know, William Charles Gibson the third or something like that.
Either that or he was clumsy.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if Charlie's son, they're going to call him Cinco.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
Don't walk the pitcher.
Has walked 3. Morton has walked 3. Now the payoff pitch. Hal Harrison Gibson III is our home plate umpire. Born in Mayfield, Kentucky.
Hal Harrison?
Hal Harrison Gibson III.
It goes by Trip. Third.
Correct.
Got it. Took me a second.
That's all right. Promoted to the umpires roster on a full-time basis this February. He's 33 years old.
I got another guy that I'm unfamiliar with at first base, Adam Hamari. Not familiar with his work either. He's a baby face, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. And he did walk the pitcher. So that's 4 walks, and now the lineup turns over.
Not only that, he just keeps burning extra pitches. And this guy, even though he's their leadoff hitter, he's hitting .333 with runners in scoring position.
So Polanco is the batter. Pickoff play at second. And back safely was Cervelli. Pittsburgh's done good work with runners in scoring position this year. The Pirates hitting .271 as a club. And that's off the plate. Atlanta 3, Pittsburgh 1. Lots of base runners in this first 3.5 innings. We had 1-2-3 inning. That was the Pirates' first. .38 strikes, 32 balls for the Braves right-hander so far. 70 pitches. Now 2-1. One more note, Joe, on Adam Hamari, the first base ump. He had the plate for Derek Jeter's final game.
Well, That's good for him.
The New York Yankees. We'll have to play here tomorrow for Julio Teheran and Jeff Locke. That'll be a national game broadcast by Big Fox. Joe, Tom, and I will be back with you on Sunday at 1 o'clock with Braves Live. First pitch 1:35 for Alex Wood and Garrett Cole. That's a good matchup.
That'd be a good one. Should be a good one.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch. And it's rolled toward first. Freeman's got it, and he will take it to the bag. And that is that in the Pirate fourth. They strand a pair. Perez, Maven, and Simmons coming up. Atlanta leads by a pair.
And your local Ford dealer.
Joe, Tom, and Chip with you on a beautiful night in Atlanta. Boy, it's great to be back here at Turner Field. Atlanta trying to even its record at 27-27 and maybe gain some ground on the Nationals tonight. They're entertaining the Cubs at Nationals Park. Anthony Rizzo's just hit a long homer for the Cubs over the center field fence. It's now Washington 5, Cubs 3 as they play in the 6th inning in D.C.
Rizzo's already been hit by pitches 15 times this year.
Really?
He's well ahead of the pack. Hit by pitches.
Nationals aren't playing very well right now. The Nats are having all kinds of trouble winning ball games. They lost 6 of 7 as this ball's bounced off the plate. Gone, dropped it. He knew he had to get rid of it quickly, but he couldn't catch it cleanly first.
He took one last peek on the way down to see where Williams was, and that's all it took.
Williams is hot, by the way.
Yeah.
Base hit. Oh.
I don't know if he'd have thrown him out anyway.
So that's ruled an error. The second of the night for the Pirates. Leadoff man aboard for the Braves. Here's Maben, who's got 2 singles. And outside, ball 1. Braves manufactured their first 2 runs in the first inning. Maben reached on an infield hit, stole second, took third on a wild pitch, and came home on a Simmons single. Joe's point earlier, I agree with you 100%. He is playing so confidently right now. He's got a great approach, and he is sticking with it. Why not? Ground ball slowly hit towards short. Might be 2. They're going to have to hurry. And they get their men. 6-4-3 double play. That's 2 of those hit into by the Braves tonight. 2 out.
I hope Cameron didn't re-injure himself. He was a little slow coming out of the box. where he missed a couple of games with that. Oh, he slipped that groin, and he said it wasn't a hip flexor, but kind of wonder if that may have strained it a little bit there. And gingerly going to the dugout.
So 2 are out for Simmons. He scored on the Neil Walker first inning error.
By the way, the Braves made a roster move today, and it affected outfielders. Joey Tardoslavich has been activated from the disabled list, and Eric Young Jr. was designated for assignment. We wish Eric well. He was a class act.
You bet. Good to have Joey back. Remember, he injured his wrist diving on that odd double play this spring. As that ball's bounced toward third, Kong's got it, and a strong throw takes care of Everton Simmons. Beautiful play. Nothing doing in the Atlanta fourth. Marte, McCutchen, and Walker are coming up against Williams Perez. Atlanta all year long. Our friends at Delta Airlines get us from city to city. Thanks to Mac Coney and the gang for getting us from Phoenix to Atlanta safely after our efforts on Wednesday in the desert Southwest. Along with Joe Simpson, Tom Glavitt, our producer Gretchen Caney tonight, and our director Mike Miller. Chip Carey from the ballpark. Game 1 of the weekend set between the Braves and the Pirates. Hasn't been a clean start for Williams Perez, but he's pitched effectively enough.
Yeah, in and out of some trouble. Made some pitches when he's had to, but pitch count's getting up there. It'd be nice to see him have a couple clean innings here and at least get through 6.
Starling Marte leads things off. And that's good. Speed pitch. Strike 1 as we've reached the 9 o'clock hour on Friday night. Talked earlier tonight about how the Pirates have started slowly. Last year started slowly this year. Well, when this guy got hot, they took off. Starling Marte last year hit an astounding .348 after the All-Star break. And he's only 26. Well, when he figures it out, along with Polanco and Tabata with McCutchen, how about that group of 4 Pirate outfielders?
Good foursome.
Man, oh man. Two balls and a strike. And he was fooled. 2-2. 5-4 Washington leads the Cubs, by the way. How's that song go in Chicago? Go Cubs go.
I don't know
You'd know it if you heard it. It's like the New York, New York song after the games in Yankee Stadium. Perez ready for his 79th pitch of the night. Just missed inside.
Another deep count.
Something else this kid's not afraid to do. Marte, he'll hang in there. He got hit by a pitch 17 times last year. Foul.
He's not afraid to throw that changeup in any count. He got Polanco to in the fourth on that grounder to Freddie with a changeup and a good one.
And he lost him. That's 5 walks. And that might get the Braves bullpen stirring. McCutcheon's lined out and flied out. McCutcheon, a lifetime .299 hitter. He asked for time and it was granted. Here's something I didn't know about McCutcheon. All-Star game 4 years in a row. MVP in the league. He's never driven in 100 runs in the major leagues.
That surprises me too.
The watermark was 96 back in 2012.
It's a high home run mark.
31.
Wow, I'm surprised he didn't drive in 130 plus homers.
No balls and a strike. And the throw to first. In fact, the 4 consecutive All-Star appearances by a Pirate outfielder, 2011 to 2014. The last Pirate outfielder to go to the All-Star game 4 times in as many years, the great Roberto Clemente. That's under his chin. Williams really having command trouble tonight. Not nearly as sharp. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Graphic we just showed you, more runs, hits, and doubles than anybody in baseball since he came to the big leagues.
He was the 11th pick in 2005. Wonder how many teams would like to rethink that. The 10 that passed him over before the Pirates got it. And a shot to left. Has 2 on, nobody out.
I don't know who they were, but I bet there's 10 teams that are rethinking that one.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, and that's how you answer as a big league player like he is. You get dusted up and in, and you come right back and hit a rocket somewhere. That was a fastball. Those players taken in front of him were Justin Upton, Alex Gordon, Jeff Clement, Ryan Zimmerman, Ryan Braun, Ricky Romero, Troy Tulowitzki, Wade Townsend, Mike Pelfrey, and Cameron Maben was taken just ahead of him.
There's a couple on there that might argue they're happy with their pick.
Yes.
And the draft is coming up. It's Monday. Guys are excited about that. Here's Neil Walker. He unloads deep to right field. If it's fair, it's long gone. And that's a no doubt. Wow. Neil Walker's 4th home run turns this game around. It's now a 1-run lead for the Bucks. And nobody out in the inning. Fellas, I'd say he made up for his error in the first.
Not just that, but he struck out in the second inning leading off. Looked bad on that changeup. Runner at third in the third inning. He popped up to shallow center, didn't get the runner in, and then he admired that one for a little bit.
Last year, Walker set a Pirate franchise record most home runs by a middle infielder. He hit 23. His fourth is a 3-run shot. And Pittsburgh now leads by a run.
Williams has been flirting with trouble all night long and been able to make some pitches when he had to, but not there.
So let's see if he can get through the inning with no more damage done. Jung Ho Gong is the Pirate third baseman. And a swinging strike. Strike 3 call. Perez got Gong looking. And here's out number 1. His first strikeout since the second inning and his third in the game. Here's Pedro Alvarez. Pedro's a homer away from tying Bobby Bonilla for 16th place on the Pirates all-time home run list. Bonilla hit 114 homers as a Pirate. 1 ball, no strikes.
Everybody talks about the '92 World Series, Tom, that you got. I mean, playoff that you had with the Pirates. That '91 playoff series you had with the Pirates is pretty good too. It went 7 games, right?
Yeah, it went 7. Abe won up there in Game 6 and a tremendous performance, and then Smoltz won Game 7.
Shutouts, I think, both of them.
Yeah.
Game 6 was a 1-0 Atlanta win. Avery beat Drabek. Alejandro Pena got the save.
A 4-hitter.
4-hitter. Braves scored a 9th inning run to win that one. And Game 7, 4-0 Braves.
What was Game 5? Wasn't that?
Game 5 was Pirates 1, Braves 0 in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think I lost that one 1-0.
Yeah, Zane Smith beat you. And then let's see. John Smiley, Bob Walk, and Stan Belinda were 3 of the 4 pitchers for the Pirates. Smoltz went the distance. Brian Hunter hit a homer.
Yep.
In that game.
B. Hunt hit a big homer.
I think there's a little anger in Mr. Perez after that home run.
Well, it's almost, I mean, and you guys saw him pitch his last time out when he walked the 4 guys, so I don't know what that was about, but it seems like tonight he's kind of been tiptoeing around, like he's either doesn't feel real good about his stuff or location or something, and he's kind of been pitching to try and avoid mistakes or get out of trouble or what have you, and then it's like he gave up the home run. It's like, all right, let's go. I think you do that sometimes when something's not quite right. You kind of tiptoe around a little bit trying to avoid mistakes, and then all of a sudden something bad happens and boom, here comes your aggressiveness. It's like, all right, what do I have to lose now?
And even though he's mad about the home run, I would assume his mindset has to be it's really a 1-0 game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the only difference now is obviously he's probably not going to get a chance to go back out there, but yeah, it's still a 1-0, it's a 1-run game.
It's inside to Cervelli, 2 balls and a strike. Breaking ball evens it up. That's bounced toward the on deck circle. Jordy Mercer will make a friend in the 5th row. Deuces are wild, 2-2. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Pirates. They've committed 2 errors and have left 6 on base. The Braves have 3 runs on 5 hits. Pittsburgh's taking the lead with a 3-run top of the 5th. Walker's mammoth home run to right. And strike 3 right down the middle. After the homer, Perez struck out 3 Pirates in a row. But Neil Walker, a native Pittsburgher, has given the Bucks a 1-run lead on a long 3-run homer to right. 4-3 your score. Part of the order up to the Braves when we come back. Time to remind you of our Toyota tweet of the week, and our question is, why does Freddie Freeman deserve to be an all-star? Tweet your response with the hashtag #VoteFreddie, and your tweet could appear on Braves Live after the game. Again, hard to believe as many good players as the Braves have this year. There's only one Atlanta starter in the top 5 in any of the position categories in the National League. That's A.J. Pierzynski.
Need to fix that.
Yep, 35 times you can vote in one session, online, your mobile device, your laptop, your tablet. And there's a thing of beauty for Freddie Freeman on the first pitch. He guides one to left. He's taking the big turn. He's headed for second. The throw is not in time. He beat the tag. That's an all-star type play. And a good start for the Braves. Tying run in scoring position to start the inning.
And they're going to take another look at this one. I'm going to guess. They looked awful close at second base, but that's a thing of beauty. Those are the ones as a pitcher where you're just like, why do we have a shift on? That's a routine ground ball to third. And I just gave up a double. Close play. And they are going to review it. I thought the throw beat him, but I'm not so sure he got the tag down. I don't know.
So this play will be reviewed by the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think he beat it. Looks like the toe got in ahead of the tag.
It's kind of like he tagged the base. Did he come off the base there, though? Kept his glove on him. Did he come off the base? I think there's a good transfer to another leg and another arm. I don't know if there's enough to reverse it.
And that's the key to the challenge from the Pirates' perspective. I love these high resolution cameras.
See, to me right there, it looked like he's out. That other one before that looked like he was safe.
In the super slow-mo?
Yeah.
So the umpires in New York will take a good hard look at this one. Carlson, Brian Gorman are the men on the headsets. 2 good umpires. Those super slow-mo cameras, I think, are what makes replay work. In the standard definition, I don't think you'd ever be able to tell with any great certainty.
The glove comes down on top of the foot and that the toe gets in there.
And by the time the left foot came over the bag, it looks like the right foot was touching the bag.
Yeah, that one he looks safe.
Yeah.
The other ones I'm not so sure about.
Yeah.
Has there ever been an explanation or talk about why or if it'll ever change that the umpires that are here at the field, particularly the one that was involved in the plate, don't really watch the video other than what they see on the scoreboard? Like, they're not hardly even involved in the whole watching process, right?
No, they don't. All they see is what's on the board. I think the feeling was that the guys looking at it in New York be able to do it faster, right, and having to set up a monitor for these guys to look at, like in the NBA, for example.
And all the replays from around Major League Baseball go to one central headquarters instead of having to set up a separate booth in all the stadiums and have another umpire staff it there. So the call is upheld. It stands. It's a leadoff double for Freddie Freeman, and he represents the tying run. Watch Markakis run scoring spots. He's often aggressive early in the count. Let's see what Morton gives him.
On a .417 average against Charlie on the first pitch.
Pirates iced it one away. 1 ball, no strikes. Right there, strike one. Hey, big Pirate fan. Michael Keaton's in town.
He's a huge Pittsburgh sports fan. All sports, but especially the Pirates.
Save her out, Batman.
He was ready to ring him up, wasn't he?
Do you think he said the umps are robbing us?
Oh, my.
I don't think he did.
I hope he did.
Line drive center, base hit. Here comes Freeman. He'll be stopped. With nobody out, why chance it? Markakis with a single to center, and they're at the corners.
Just keep on hitting, Nick. Base twice tonight.
And it's a very interesting party watching from the Braves bench. Atlanta can get it tied. He's off the hook for the loss. If they can score at least 2, he might be able to win the game. It's Perez.
Maybe he goes back out to get the lead.
Point, he's got the bottom of the order coming for Pittsburgh in the 6th. And here's Uribe. Ball high.
I can't believe he didn't swing at that. That's his bread and butter, is that high fastball. Just a little out of his zone.
Bouncing ball deep short. That'll get a run home. And Uribe safe at first. Freeman scores the tying run. It's 4-4. And Uribe awarded first with 1 out. Markakis forced out at second base. The Pirates have already burned their challenge.
That's a good point, Chip, because I think I might have challenged this. All right, Clint Hurdle. The difference is Uribe's still out there and he gets an RBI.
So game tied 4 apiece. And here's A.J. Brzezinski. He doubled on an 0-2 count after trying to bunt twice. And with that bunt strategy, the Pirates have shifted their defense again. It's not nearly as radical a shift for A.J. But he does still have a lot of territory to work with between Gong and the third base line. Action begins in the Pittsburgh pen. Antonio Bastardo pitch. Stops Cervelli. Ball 2.
Just thinking about what a shift also does. There's Bastardo. Not that you're going to use AJ to hit and run, certainly with Uribe running at first, but if this were a hit and run situation, how it alters the offensive manager's plan if he wanted to hit and run. Because you can just leave Walker sitting right there to plug up that hole. And it's Mercer who was on the shift right behind the bag, so he would be able to cover anybody running. And you've got the third baseman way off the line who can kind of plug up that hole. Kind of takes away that strategy.
And now they do have 3 defenders on the right side of the infield. And missed. Wouldn't you agree, Tom, that no matter what shift you employ, it does require your pitcher to hit his spot?
Well, yeah, you've got to pitch to the shift, no question about it. You know, and I guess that's the thing that I question sometimes is with the shift, are you forcing a pitcher to pitch somebody in a way that is not his strength?
Ground ball. Alvarez will step on the bag. Bad throw. And Uribe's in a rundown. And he will be tagged out by Alvarez. So Morton made a big pitch to keep the game tied. But a ground ball out by Uribe brings home Freddie Freeman. Entertaining ball game. We are through 5 innings. Pedro Alvarez starts an inning-ending double play. He goes to 6th. Chance to get a David Justice bobblehead presented by Delta Airlines this Tuesday. The Padres are in town. If you buy the David Justice 4-game plan, you'll get to meet David before the game. This offer is only available through Friday, so go to Braves.com/4game today. Pretty good looking bobblehead. And here is Brandon Kniff. The Braves are in the bullpen after 5 innings of work. And Brandon could use a rebound. So frankly could the Braves relief corps. They had an awful time of it on the just completed road trip.
Yeah, Brandon was one of them. One of his outings at San Francisco, 4 hits, 5 runs. One of his 2 outings at Arizona, an inning and a third, 2 hits, 2 runs. And there's the highest ERA in the majors, bullpen wise, higher than even the Rockies. Braves not used to that.
Best over a 4-year period during this season. 22 earned runs, 22 innings on the road trip for the relief corps. Braves had the lead and lost 3 leads from the 7th inning on 3 times on the 4-6 trip. And as we said in Phoenix, there's nothing more demoralizing than seeing late leads evaporate, and it's almost impossible to outscore your own bullpen. 0-2 pitch to Mercer, and a little flare behind first. Freeman on the run, slowing, and makes the basket catch. Nice play for Freeman.
Again, not an easy play, but one a first baseman has to make, going down the line with his back to the infield.
So the night is over for former Brave Charlie Morton. He goes 5 innings, allowing 4 runs, and Corey Hart is the Pittsburgh pinch hitter. In his day, Joe, this guy was a great hitter for the Brewers.
He was terrific for their ball club, but just like Charlie Morton, he's had his share of injuries. I believe his has been a knee that they've had to do the micro surgery on a couple of times.
Last year began the year with the Mariners. He had a strained left hamstring. He had a right knee contusion. 2013 did not play at all. He had 2 knee surgeries. A chondral defect in his left knee. And a second surgery to re-repair that. 2 balls and a strike. 2-2 now. He's a man that had a 30-homer, 100 RBI season for the Brewers in 2010. At 283. 26 homers and 30 homers. Real good right-hand hitter. First baseman, outfielder for the Brewers. 2 pitch. Strike 3 at the knees. Hart was on his way to first. He heads back to the dugout in disbelief. And Kniff has his second out.
He gets Hart, and Freddie Gonzalez is on his way out to get him. PNC Bank box tracks right at the bottom of the zone.
So Kniff works 2/3 of an inning. It was perfect. A pop out and a strikeout. And now Avilan will face Gregory Polanco with bases empty.
Hold the score at 4 apiece. I talked to Jason Grilli a little earlier today just about the struggles of the bullpen, and Jason told me, look, it's a long season. Obviously, we're not where we want to be. The guys haven't been able to get it to the end of the bullpen, but we take the losses as a team. And he said he had ultimate confidence in everybody, turning everything around. It's just about getting out there, staying focused, and continuing to try to do what the plan is for you to do. And on another note, Avilan has been doing exactly that. So he's one of the guys that hasn't struggled at all. And now guys trying to get this one out here in the 6th.
And there are Luis's numbers. Thank you, Andre. He's already in his 29th game of the season.
And that's among the league leaders.
He'll try to end the 6th with Gregory Polanco, who's 0 for 2. He's walked and stolen a base. 4-4 game. First to 3 with the Pirates. Downstairs. We told you Gregory Polanco's just 23 years old. Part of the maturation process is watching him develop against left-handed pitchers. They have been tough on Gregory. He's just 4 for 26 at 154 batting average. He struck out 10 times in those previous 26 attempts. Play 2 balls and a strike.
As a left-handed hitter, I'd much prefer to see a left-handed pitcher working from the third base side of the rubber, because I mean it's easier to pick the ball up, and that's where Luis works from.
And a line drive over short. So the lefty-lefty strategy's foiled by Polanco, a clean hit the other way, and he's aboard in front of Starling Marte.
Got to hold him close now. They'll tie fastball out away from him.
Couple of walks and a run scored for Marte. Smothered that on ball, no strikes. In the air to right, and that's well hit. Marquez is back. He's going to turn, and that's going to sail out of the ballpark. A single and a 2-run home run, and Pittsburgh's back in front. All of this with 2 out.
This is bordering on the bizarre. Fastball up and away.
That's the 22nd home run that Atlanta's bullpen has allowed this year. And now you've got to go after Andrew McCutchen. And this is the maddening thing for Freddie Gonzalez. We said it a lot on the road trip. All a manager can do is put guys in situations where he feels they have the best chance to succeed. Lefty-lefty against a man hitting $150 against left-handed pitching. He gets a hit, and you have to leave him in, face the righty, and he parks one in the second row seats in right field. There has been very little consistency from performance to performance from anybody in the big.
Well, you're right. You've got to put guys in situations where they have a chance to succeed, and then if they're not, then I don't know what you do. Just keep running them out, I guess.
Another part of this is as this continues, is that as an opposing team coming in, and you already know what the scouting report is, hey, you get in Atlanta's pen, you got a chance. Keep it close, get in their pen. So you go to the plate with a lot of confidence once you've gotten into the pen.
Back to the mound, and McCutchen and the Pirates are retired. Polanco and Marte were the Batmen tonight. A 2-run homer for Starling puts Pittsburgh up 6-4 in the 6th.
can take solace in the fact that the Braves have been in all these games because the offense has been so good. That's our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot. Look at what Atlanta has done offensively over the last 5.
Well, it's going to take 7 runs tonight at least, as they trail 6-4 now. And the hard part, Tommy, is it keeps happening after the Braves score.
Yeah. Well,
shutdown innings.
Yeah, I mean, it's the shutdown innings. It's the late in the game, and you know, like I said, it's still early, obviously, in the year, and the guys are gonna fight through it, but you don't want it to go on too long because eventually it starts getting to the point where 6th inning you start looking over your shoulder and kind of wondering, all right, what's going to happen tonight, you know, and you don't want that.
New pitcher on the mound for the Pirates in relief of Charlie Morton, and it's a familiar face, Antonio Bastardo. Remember him with the Phillies? Pitched in 67 games with the Phils last year. The Pirates got him for Joely Rodriguez in December last year. So Charlie Morton now in line to win the game if the Pirates bullpen can hold, and their pen has been excellent. Their team ERA in relief 2.67. Bastardo hasn't pitched in a while. Last pitch May 28th. That was last Thursday. Cunningham, Siriaco, and then Avilan's spot. And a pop up out of play by Todd. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fly ball toward left. Long run, Marte. Starling will fly in and make the grab. There's out number 1.
Tell you what, they got some outfielders that can cover some ground.
Yes, they do. All pretty good arms, too.
Pedro Siriaco's the batter. He's lined out twice. Once to second, once to left. And as Andre Aldridge reported earlier, Pedro starting at second base. Jace Peterson had a cortisone injection between his finger and thumb. It gives Siriaco a chance to play and hopefully allow that discomfort to calm down yesterday and through today.
The line drive to left looked like it was going to be maybe even a gapper and drive in a run, but another play, nice play by Marte then. I'll say this for the Braves offense. All the guys that have been asked about the troubles of the bullpen and losing leads, everybody has said all the right things in defense of their bullpen. For example, Freddie Freeman said, you know, we know they'll get it turned around. We know Roger will work some of his magic and get it going. Someone else said, you know, next week it might be us that's not scoring any runs.
2-1 count. And now 2-2. Make no mistake about it, John Hart, John Coppolella searching far and wide for any available relief help. They know that this is not going to cut it over the short term or the long term. Right now, there aren't that many options outside the organization. Maybe the man closest, and it's just speculation, might be Peter Moylan. Peter Moylan was just promoted to AAA Gwinnett. He's made an appearance with the G Braves. He had a couple of walks, gave up a hit. And he said he felt great getting back on a AAA mound. The next test, I'm sure, will be back-to-back games. Maybe do that a couple times and then see where he is. Swing and a miss by Siriaco. Bastardo got him on strikes. 2 out. And Chris Johnson grabs a bat. He'll hit for Avilan.
Might see Chris in the lineup tomorrow. Left-hander going the way he wears out lefties.
Jeff Locke is the man pitching for the Pirates tomorrow. He's been hit hard his last several times out. Hits are even at 7, but Pittsburgh with a 2-run homer here in the 6th leads 6-4. Popped him up. The wind's going to blow that out toward right. Who wants it? Polanco camps out, and he makes the play to retire the side. Bastardo works a perfect 6th. We go to the 7th inning. Neil Walker will lead off for the Pirates. A 3-run homer by that man, Neil Walker. And both of those home runs gave the Pirates the lead, and our Yellowwood bringing the lumber feature.
Really no doubt about this one. A two-seamer that kind of sailed back over the inside part of the plate. Bouncing up into the terrace level. That turned the game around. The Braves tied it up, and then Marte hit a 2-run homer.
So you got to hold him right there. It's Trevor Cahill who's going to come on. It's been a rough go for Trevor Cahill. 19 earned runs and 23 in the 3rd innings. And like so many of his bullpen mates, it's been the walks that have just shredded his ERA. 11 of them in 23 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike.
We'll say this for him. He appeared in 2 games on the road trip, didn't give up a run.
And it had some bite to it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A lot was made about Trevor's arm angle. When he came to the Braves, he was more of an over-the-top guy and didn't have much success. Tom, you pointed out the last time we worked that it seems that Trevor's arm angle has dropped.
I mean, it seems like it to me in the limited time I've seen him. It just looked like when his first couple of starts, it looked like that angle he was throwing one from was just unnatural. Like he was forcing it to get up there. And now it just, to me, it looks like he's a little bit more natural out there.
I agree 100%. Before, it almost looked like he'd been talking to Josh Colemanter too much.
Yeah.
His former teammate.
Walker now an 8-game hitting streak. He's getting some good cuts here. You'll see a 7th pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Walker's also hit safely in 11 straight games on the road for the Pirates. To first, tricky hop. That thing hugged the grass, then hit the dirt and came rocketing upward. Freeman stayed with it. That was a tough play on a hard hit ball. 1 out. Watch this.
Good hands. With that glove that he just wants to stay on his hand, and he said when the ball goes in there, I just want it to stay in the glove.
Just stay in there, stay on my hand, everything's good.
Gong misses or takes inside as Cahill missed to him. 2-0 the count. Jung Ho Kong of the Korean Baseball Organization. One thing that the Pirates have with the versatility we spoke of, they'll have a chance to rest this man. Major League Baseball in the States, their schedule is about 30 games more than the KBO's schedule. Obviously our travel much more arduous, much bigger country. There aren't as many off days on our schedule. In Korea, after every 3-game series, they get a day off.
Wow, that's nice.
Yep. Not to mention the cultural differences, language barriers, and the fact that he's probably never had a pierogi in his life until this year. 2 outs.
I bet he knows the rivers, though.
Yeah, it's an adjustment playing those extra 30 games. Like a lot of the guys that come up from the minor leagues and play that first full season in the big leagues. You know, that September rolls around and it's not over. It's the hard part of the schedule is just beginning, especially if you're in a pennant race.
And that's downstairs for Pedro Alvarez. 1 ball, no strikes. In Pittsburgh, 6.5 out in the Central. They'll finish this game tonight, win or lose, and then watch the Cardinals and Dodgers play out in LA at 10:10 Eastern time. Martinez and Anderson are the opposing pitchers. St. Louis beat the Dodgers 7-1 last night. Michael Wacha won his 8th game. The bounding ball fouled at first. Off the bat of Pedro Alvarez. A ball and 2 strikes.
Saw Archimedes Caminero loosening up in their bullpen. They've got another lefty down there too as one of their setup guys. It's one of the best in the game. Tony Watson.
1-2 pitch. A change missed low. It's 2-2. Washington 7-4 over the Cubs in the 8th. The Giants lead the Phillies 5-4 in the 9th. Giants have been scuffling. They've lost 5 in a row entering play tonight. And look out. That was smoked toward Michael Keaton's seats.
Peter Pierogi.
Absolutely.
Flushed on that.
Strike 3 to Pedro Alvarez. Trevor Cahill with a 1-2-3 7th. We go to the stretch. Top of the orders coming up for the Braves. It's 6-4 Pittsburgh. The Braves come up here in the home seventh. They'll have the top of the order coming up. Maven Simmons and Freddie Freeman. Time for our Coors Light cold hard fact as you look at Archimedes Caminero. Here's the big difference so far between the Braves and Pirates. Two teams that entered play tonight scoring the exact number of runs offensively.
From the 7th inning on, Pittsburgh is plus 12. The Braves are a minus 21 in runs from the 7th inning on. And leading after 7, the Pirates 28-1, the Braves 19-3.
Cameron Maybin leads off against a man with whom the Pirates are positively buoyant, Archimedes Caminero. He's made 6 straight scoreless appearances. And 2 scoreless innings against the Giants last time out.
He's got up just 1 hit in his last 8 outings.
Two for Maybin. Atlanta led this game 3-1. But the Pirates stormed back with 3 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th. They lead 6-4. And that paints the outside corner, and Cameron knew it. Another change for the Pirates. Sean Rodriguez is checked in for Alvarez at first base. They were a better glove man with the lead late.
And he'll bat third in the pitcher's spot.
One up, one down for Andrelton. He's 1 for 4 with an RBI. Strike after strike from Caminero.
Tell you what, you can see why they like this guy. 94, 98, nasty slider.
Fly ball toward right, and that's going to drop in for a hit. There's the bloop. Now how about the blast? Freddie Freeman's just the man to do it. He's hit 5 homers in his last 7+ games.
A good pitch. Can't believe Simmons could reach it. You always need a little Ric Flair. You want to make a comeback, you know? Absolutely.
Freeman versus Caminero. The pitch. Pirates got this guy from the Marlins. It was a cash deal. February 4th of this year.
Money well spent. Sorry.
Yeah. He signed in 2005 as a teenager. And spent part of 4 years in the Dominican League and the Gulf Coast League.
It's a little bit like Williams Perez. Took him a while to start climbing up the ladder.
0-2. And Freeman is down on strikes. That was a 98-mile-an-hour blazing fastball.
That was such a good sequence, too, from Cervelli. They got the call on the low breaking ball that might have been low, but then he said, I want this one up. I want the fastball up. So they changed his eye level. They heat it up. Good sequence there.
Yeah, he had a good sequence against Maybin and Andrelton, too. Andrelton just hit a good pitch.
But the inning's not over yet. Nick Markakis is the batter. He's walked, scored, and singled tonight. 0-1. Look, the Marlins know their business far better than we do, but that's a team that's had a ton of problems in their bullpen as well. As well as Caminero has pitched for the Pirates. That's one that Miami might wish to rethink. Pittsburgh's glad to have this kid. He's hitting the glove That one, though, off the plate. 2-0. Uribe's on deck. He can hit anybody's fastball. Nick's not afraid to take a late walk either. At the knees, Markakis thought that was low, and he's going to argue with Tripp Gibson. He thought that ball was way low.
I trust Nick.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not even close.
So instead of 2 on with 2 out, now you've got a full count pitch. The man throwing 98 miles an hour. Big lead by Andrelton. And there he goes.
Once in a while, when you question a call from an umpire, he will actually tell you, I might have missed that one. I don't know if that happened there, but usually the young umpires are the hardest to admit it.
Another 3-2 pitch. And just to serve, Markakis walks. And now Uribe's coming on, and with one swing of the bat, he could turn the game into the Braves' favor. Braves know all about that kind of sequencing. With 2 outs, a walk brings a good fastball hitter to the plate. Uribe tonight is 0 for 2 with an RBI. That's Ray Searage, the Pirates pitching coach.
He's a good one. He's done a great job. Pirates bullpen and their starters, and they've got a good staff to work with. One of the guys, we talk about Fultonevich's little body turn sometimes, and we've compared it to some people. Well, one guy that also has done that his whole career is A.J. Burnett. And boy, has he gotten it going this year. Back with the Pirates, he's 6-1 with a 2.20 ERA. 69 innings, 64 strikeouts.
You know, in today's game, players are labeled a lot of things. Grady is unfortunately one of them. A.J. Burnett wanted to win so badly and get out of Philadelphia so badly. He took $4 million less to pitch for the Pirates than stay with the Phillies.
Well, he pitched pretty well here his last go around, so I'm sure that familiarity and comfort was a big part of it.
Swing and a miss for Uribe. He was thinking about hammering that one to left. Didn't get it.
I think that might have been part of the conversation. Remind him this guy's a good fastball hitter. You're going to throw him a fastball and you miss. Make sure you miss in the right spot. Start him off with a slider. Good pitch.
Broken bat, base hit to left. Here comes Simmons around third. He's going to score, and the Braves are a run closer. Welcome to Atlanta, Juan Uribe. A base hit and a 2 RBI night. The key to the inning, the 2-out walk.
I like Juan up there against anybody's fastball pitcher. Another slider, but not a good one.
Nope, didn't finish. Finished it. Left it over the middle of the plate. Didn't have that bite like the first one. And that's what happens a lot of times when you. And I love guys double up on pitches, but that's what happens a lot of times, particularly with a breaking ball. You throw a good one and get a strike, and you double up with it. Now you try to throw the next one even better, and a lot of times that's what happens. You leave it hanging.
So that snaps the 6th consecutive scoreless appearances streak for Archimedes Caminero. And Brings up A.J. Pierzynski. Markakis, good speed at second. Represents the tying run. 2 on, 2 out, and ball 1. These Braves don't quit. They're down a run. And off the plate and fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
When you have a team that up and down the lineup, no matter what the situation, they're putting the ball in play, you got a good chance to get a base hit or put some pressure on the defense to have them make a mistake. And that's what Atlanta continues to do offensively. Didn't get the call that time.
Maybe Markakis' gripe helped A.J. Pierzynski.
Strike to Markakis, a ball to A.J.
2-1. .97 miles an hour. What a gift.
And man, you don't typically see guys that throw this hard pound the bottom half of the strike zone the way he is too.
Yeah.
AJ's been a clutch hitter. There are your runners. And now the 2-2 pitch. Advantage Atlanta. They'll get a head start. Gapper might score Uribe from first if AJ can fill one. Cunningham would love a chance to hit in the 7th. Runners go. Swing and miss. And Caminero fired up as he threw a 99-mile-an-hour fastball by Pierzynski. The Braves get a run on 2 hits. Juan Uribe's second RBI makes it a 1-run game.
And hey, college students, listen up. Starting June 18th, every Thursday home game is college night. Tickets are only $20 with $10 of added value included, and you'll get to sit in the new college section. That means, there'll be a lot of nice looking people sitting there. You never know, you might get a date. Students also get to run the bases after the game, where you bring your sliding pads, because you may want to slide at second, pop up, keep going. That's right, you heard right. You get to run the bases. Don't miss out on these special nights at Turner Field. Space is limited. Visit Braves.com/college now.
This would really be a true chance, Joe, for those college students to run around the quad.
See? Right idea. Yeah. Streak the quad. Well, no.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
So we got a 1-run game.
That'd be fun watching some of them at the end of the night run around the bases. Or trying to.
That's a good point. Have to stick around for that. Here's Cervelli, and a base hit. Leads off the inning. Mr. Cervelli's had himself a nice night. 3 for 4 with an RBI. After a .377 batting average in May, he started this series in great shape.
Kind of like Andrelton, only he just rolled his up the middle.
This is Jordy Mercer, the Pirates shortstop. He's 0 for 3. Sean Rodriguez, their first baseman, on deck. Bouncing ball and a hit and run, and that was beauty in motion. First and third for the Pirates as Mercer pokes one into shallow right field. Back-to-back hits.
Again, something you probably wouldn't do with nobody out and the pitcher spot due up next, but because of their double switch an inning ago, that brings up Rodriguez with a chance to drive in a run.
So the crowd of 27,508 quiet for the moment. And Sean Rodriguez gets his first at bat. Rodriguez, a former Angel and Tampa Bay Ray.
He was a real good utility guy for the Rays. As I recall, could play short. Tonight he's playing first for the Pirates. The outfield.
He had 237 at bats last year. He had 12 homers and knocked in 41 men. He made just 3 errors. Tampa Bay.
Another one of those innings where after the Braves scored, trying to get a shutdown inning. Cahill's going to have to make some good pitches to do that.
Sean comes from a baseball family. His dad, Johnny Rodriguez, last year managed the rookie level Johnson City Cardinals. His dad has coached, managed, and scouted in 8 different organizations.
Johnny Rodriguez used to be a great country singer too. I don't think that was his dad.
1-2 pitch. High hopper hit toward second. There's 1. There's 2. It's double play. No RBI. The Pirates will gladly give up the 2 outs to score the 7th run of the game. Cervelli scores for the first time. First run allowed by Cahill. And 2 are out to the top of the order.
You bet, Chip, at this stage of the ball game, with it now being a 1-run game, double play, they don't mind. It's an add-on run. And he made contact after being behind in the count.
So the hit and run play helps the Pirates score here in the 8th. And we go back to the top, and Gregory Polanco takes a little low. This will be Cahill's final inning. His spot's due 3rd when the Braves bat here in the 8th. 7-5 Pittsburgh. And a strike. Washington beat the Cubs. That's a 7-5 final at Nationals Park. Giants beat the Phillies at 5-4 at Citizens Bank. And a liner over Uribe into left field. Polanco has a 2-out hit. And he's aboard in front of Starling Marte, who broke the Braves' hearts in the 6th inning. After a 2-out single to Gregory Polanco, Marte turned in our Toyota key play of the game.
Yeah, the Braves had just tied the game up in the bottom half of the 5th inning. 2-out single, 2-out homer, turned it around.
Yeah, Polanco served the high fastball to left field for a base hit, and then Marte drove that high fastball into the seats.
He might have been mad when he went to the batter's box, because Matthew Kaminsky, the terrific organist here at the ballpark, played "Oh My Starlin', Oh My Starlin'" as his walk-up music.
Yeah, he might have been.
Yeah.
He probably was.
Couple of walks, couple runs, couple of RBIs. The pitch. And Cahill missed. 1 ball, no strikes. Turnaround for the Pirates came in early May. They were 13-16, 9 games out. They rallied to win 2 in a row against the Cardinals. And they're in the middle of a 16-8 stretch. Best record in Major League Baseball during that time. Fell behind early in Atlanta today, 3-1 after 4 innings. They've outscored the Braves 6-2 since. 3-1. Pittsburgh's 3-0 in June. There's another strike. Throw to second is short hopped. And in safely at second base is Polanco. So it's full count. New set of signs for Cahill.
He had about 4 strides by the time Trevor let that ball go because of his wide stance. Talking about Cahill, that wide stance, I used to love that as a base stealer, because pitchers, if they've got that left foot way out in front of them, they got to bring it back to get any momentum going. And by the time they do that, you're off to the races.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Simmons can't keep it on the infield, and that's going to score Polanco. So Pittsburgh doing it all in this inning, and Simmons slow to get up. Might have knocked the wind out of himself trying to keep that ball close to himself for Siriaco. A hit and run play, a stolen base, and now a bouncing ball up the middle.
Hurt his side a little bit because of the torque he put on his upper body. That's what he's kind of holding with his glove.
Can't lose him. So it's 8-5 Pirates. And McCutchen.
Watch this, guys. Talk about game of inches. Watch Andrelton. He was kind of bird dogging the base runner. Now he moves to his right about 3 steps. And that was the difference maker.
Yep, that's all it took.
I don't like him grabbing his side like that. He's already lost 1 man to an oblique injury this year. That's Kelly Johnson, who's only now starting to ever so slightly swing the bat down in Orlando. No timetable yet for Kelly's return, but side muscles, obliques, those are nasty, aggravating, difficult injuries to overcome.
Yeah, there's a little rib cage cartilage too. The intercostals, whatever they're called, those are not comfortable either. Ripped into the left field corner.
Marte around second. Marte headed for third. He's going to come around. The relay throw to the plate is going to be late. Andrew McCutchen has doubled home a run, and Pittsburgh scored 3 in the 8th.
I want to tell you something, folks. With the Pirates' first 2 batters, you've got speed in both of them. You've got guys who are wreaking havoc at the top of the order. And then just when you get through watching them, then this guy comes up and just cleans house. Hits the ball hard somewhere.
Well, if ever there was a year where Andrew McCutchen was going to knock in 100 runs, I would think this would be the best shot for him. 96 is his career high. McCutchen's got 35 RBIs now.
Yeah, and it's like you were talking about earlier. As much as you look at the loss of Russell Martin and think, oh man, it's a tough guy to lose. How are they going to replace that? Still, you look around their lineup and the weapons they have still throughout that lineup, pretty darn good.
Braves bullpens had more trouble tonight. 5 runs allowed by the relief corps. 2 by Avalon, 3 by Cahill here in the 8th. And much of this damage with 2 outs. Now Neil Walker, a bouncer to second. And that mercifully will send us to the bottom of the inning. Pittsburgh adds 3 to its total. It's a 9-5 Pirates lead in game 1. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Andrew McCutchen added a little icing for the Pirates. An RBI double in the top of this inning. And as we showed you earlier, some friends. Look at this. I love it.
New favorite player for that kid.
Yeah, he's trying to win over some Braves fans.
Yep.
It's not hard to do if you appreciate great players. Can't help but admire Andrew McCutchen. Look at that smile.
I wonder what he wants for those.
Hot shot by Todd Cunningham, and that's how Watson's night begins in relief. Todd's first hit of the game. And again, fellas, nothing wrong with the Braves' approach to the plate. 5 more runs, 10 more hits tonight. But 5 runs allowed by the pen starting in the 6th inning is the difference in the game.
This is a guy I like. 5 walks, 30 innings. Typically gets to come in and see a right-handed pinch hitter. And right-handers are hitting 136 against him. 3 walks and 81 at bats.
That's a foul ball by Siriaco. Watson from Grimes, Iowa. Played baseball, football, and basketball. He won the Bob Feller Award as the Iowa High School Pitcher of the Year. Dave Baker loves it when we say that about Watson. He went to Nebraska.
Joe doesn't like it when you say that. I like this guy.
He won 10 games out of the Pirate bullpen last year. 10-2 with a 1.63 ERA in 78 games. Almost not fair.
His last couple of years ERAs are maybe not that good, but they're pretty good.
338, 239, 163. Those are the last three. Hey, base hit Siriaco. Cunningham's around second. He's going to motor to third. And that ball gets away. Watson backs it up. And Siriaco will take second on the play. And that's the point Joe was making about Gregory Polanco. Strong arm, maybe an erratic arm, and he made a bad decision there. And that takes away the double play chance. And now two runners are in scoring position for Johnny Gomes.
Yeah, even though you've got a good arm, you're up by 4. You don't. This is not when you need to air it out. And Pedro, after getting robbed a couple of times with line drives, comes through with a base hit off the end of the bat. Good thing Watson was in a position to keep that from going in the dugout.
Two errors for the Pirates tonight. And it'll be Johnny Gomes against Watson. And now 3 errors for Pittsburgh as that one's added to the total. Good cut by Johnny. Foul back. He saw a lot of action on the road trip. He's had 6 starts. Henry serves. Leads all active major leaguers in pinch hit homers with 10. Long one here would make it a 1-run game.
Be a good spot for one.
Sure would.
And you've got the top of the order lurking. Inside, even count. Uribe, a 2 RBI game. As the Braves stare down Tony Watson. Gomes didn't like that. Inside. Cervelli held it there for a minute. That was close. Inside. Full count.
Trying to tie him up, keep him from extending his arms. But if he wants to go in there again, he's going to have to make a better pitch, or he's going to load him up.
Cunningham, Siriaco at third and second. Nobody out. Johnny yanks it foul out of play. Changeup got it. In, and then the change. And Johnny swung and missed. 1 out.
That was a good pitch.
Yeah, really good. particularly a guy throwing that hard, like you say, pounding in, 3-2 count. Man, well executed.
Cameron Maybin has knocked in 11 runs in his last 15 games with a runner at second base or third. Ground ball. There's a base hit. That's going to score one. They're at the corners with one out. A 3-hit night for Cameron Maybin, and it's a 9-6 game.
It's obvious that Watson wants to live in on the right-handers. He didn't get that one far enough, and especially after watching Cameron try to go to right field tonight, kind of crossed him up.
Ray Searage has had to make a few too many visits for the Pirates' liking.
Jared Hughes begins to loosen up. This will buy time for him. He was up earlier.
"15 runs, 24 hits combined in tonight's series opener." Keep an eye on Maybin. He stole his 8th base in the first inning. Tougher assignment, though, with a left-hander. Watson staring at him as a left-handed pitcher.
Well, if Anderson really did strain his right side, we'll see evidence of it in these swings.
Well, he could serve the bloop if he wants,
and do it again.
Freddie can hit the blast.
1-0 pitch. Little tapper, and that is a foul ball. Foul ball. Trip Gibson right there to make the call.
Yeah, good hustle on his part to get his mask off and get in line with the third base line to see it.
Didn't seem like there was any discomfort on the swing or reaction afterward from Ambleton.
No, the only thing that I saw last inning afterwards was on that relay throw. He threw about a 3-hopper into home plate when Marte scored. Made me wonder if he had a little trouble throwing.
Right off of his hands, and it's in the seats.
Full cut there.
1-2. High hopper hit towards short. Tricky hop. Throw to first in time. A run is in. It's 9-7. Gives Simmons his 23rd RBI, his second of the night. Maybin in safely at second base. There are, however, 2 outs, and it's Freddie Freeman in a lefty-lefty matchup.
Hard sinker. Got the ground ball he wanted. He just didn't want that height on it. So you like Freddie up there here. Chance to tie it up. I just wish they hadn't gotten 3 in the top of the inning.
Freeman's 1 for 4 lifetime against Watson. And the odd splits, as Joe mentioned, lefties 304 against Watson, righties only 136. See if that plays out with the Braves first baseman up there. You got another lefty, and Markakis waiting next.
And unlike Luis Avilan, you can see that Watson works from pretty much the first base side of the rubber, and with that arm angle makes it harder for lefties to pick up. I'm really confused about the 300 average against him.
Yeah, I don't get that.
2-0. Down in.
Might have a little trouble locating glove side to lefties. Maybe leaves it out over the plate. Let's hope he leaves one out there now.
Outfield very deep for Freeman, as you'd expect. There are 2 outs. And that one almost hit him. They didn't give Freeman anything to hit. They'll take their chances with Markakis. 2 on, 2 out, 2 in, 2-run game. This would be a great spot for Nick's first homer. Might also be a spot for Clint Hurdle to make a pitching change. Josh Harrison's going to come in. And looks like he's going to replace Neil Walker at second base. And Tony Watson, ordinarily very, very good control, did not have a good inning. 2 runs, 3 hits, and the 2 men aboard. His responsibility as well. Braves are still alive in the home 8th.
And the Georgia Lottery.
Your wish is our command. Make a cool sign. We'll put you on TV. Part-timers get no love, huh?
Apparently not.
Wow. Here's Jared Hughes. This is his 28th game. Last Friday suffered a blown save against San Diego. Braves would love for that history to repeat tonight in Atlanta.
.322 average against him too.
Rally caps are on at Turner Field. Big crowd tonight, 27,000 plus. Hoping Atlanta can come back. It's 9-7. And strike one.
As Freddie Gonzalez tells us time and time again, this ball club does not quit. No matter how many runs are allowed in the late innings, they keep plugging away.
No balls and a strike for Markakis. Outside. Hughes went to Long Beach State. He was a college teammate of Evan Longoria and Troy Tulowitzki. One of 3 Long Beach State players selected on the first day of the draft in '06. Longoria, Andrew Carpenter, and Jared Hughes. Rolled foul. It'll bounce beyond the Braves dugout. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It looked like a pretty good cutter in on him.
Pop back our way and off to our right. If Markakis can salvage a 1-2 count, you've got Uribe on deck. The runners lead, and Hughes readies and delivers. Sharply hit toward Harrison. Tricky hop, but he stayed with it. And a throw to first in time to retire the side. The Braves pick up a couple of runs, 3 singles, a walk, and a costly Pirate error. It's a 9-7 game after 8.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
For the 9th inning and our AT&T Reverse Trivia question. If you recall, since his debut in 2009, Andrew McCutchen is tied for 11th in the big leagues with that impressive .385 on base percentage. Who's first with a minimum of 400 at bats?
I had Joey Votto. Was also thinking about Albert Pujols and all the walks he gets. I'll stay with Votto.
Okay.
I'm going to go Miguel Cabrera.
And I'll
good one.
That's a great call. And I'll piggyback off Joe. I'll go ahead and take Pujols. I like that answer a lot. Let's see if we've got it covered. And it is Joey Votto. That away, Jose.
Boy, that was right out of the box, too.
Yeah. Whew. Nice.
Undefeated here on the homestand.
Loving it. As Kong leads off for the Pirates. And he'll face Nick Massett.
Nick was in 3 games on the road trip. Had a rough one, a good one, and a rough one.
Sharply hit right to Freddie Freeman, who goes to a knee. Gong can't believe it. He's hitless in his debut in Atlanta. Tough luck. He's 1 for his last 19. 1 out in the 9th. And here's Josh Harrison, who played in a career high 143 games, hit 13 homers, knocked in 52 runs, and made the All-Star team.
5'8", 195. National League Player of the Month in August last year.
That's down the right field line foul. It's 0-2.
And against Madison Bumgarner in that wild card game, he went 2 for 4.
National League Player of the Month in August last year. Hit .356 for the Pirates in August. 42 hits, 19 of them extra base hits, and had 72 total bases. 0-2 pitch. Sharply hit toward third. That ricochets off Uribe. Simmons tried to flip his glove in the air to catch that ball ricocheting toward center field. And Harrison will stand at second base. That's twice tonight. Braves defenders have had the gloves fall off. Need to get some stickum in the leather.
Yeah, and Clint Hurdle wanted to go out and see if he threw his glove at the ball. And Brian Gorman said, no, it just slipped off. He was reaching, it just slipped off. The base umpires at first and second are talking about it because I think if you throw your, is it 3 bases, Tom?
3 base, yep.
If it's ruled that you threw your glove at it.
And I guess the umpires don't need to discuss it, but Clint Hurdle wants to talk it over with Tripp Gibson. Watch this. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That should be 3 bases.
I mean, when's the last time you even saw this being discussed in the big leagues?
I can't remember ever seeing it.
No.
So as it stands now, it's a 2-base hit for Josh Harrison off the chest of Uribe, off the glove of Simmons, and Harrison in scoring position with 1 out for Francisco Cervelli. He's 3 for 4. And a strike.
Cervelli can't decide if those pitches are strikes when he's catching or when he's hitting.
I think he's going to complain too much when he's hitting, as long as his pitchers are getting him.
Yeah.
Fastball. Nothing in 2. That's slicing away from Markakis and headed for the stands. Again, no balls, 2 strikes. Dodgers have scored first against the Cardinals. It's 1-0 in LA. The Mets continue their western trip. They're beating the Diamondbacks 2-1. Jonathan Neese is on the mound for New York.
First place, New York Mets.
We got 9 strikeouts from Matt Harvey yesterday to beat Arizona. Play foul. Mets have been a very persistent club this year. No David Wright, no Bobby Parnell. Their substitute closer was suspended. They lost Dylan G for a while. They're already without Zach Wheeler. Daniel Murphy injured himself last night. He may need an MRI. Murphy injured a quad at Chase Field. 0-2 pitch. Driven toward right. Another slicing ball away from Markakis, and no play for Nick. San Diego leads the Reds 6-2. Miami 6-1 over the Rockies at Coors Field. (9-7) Pittsburgh. Can't give them any more. Good block by AJ. Line drive center field. A base hit. Cervelli. Harrison around third. And Maben's throw will be cut off. Francisco Cervelli has had a 4-hit game tonight. And the Braves bullpen is just getting torched.
Hanging breaking ball again.
6 runs allowed by the relief corps tonight.
See how Cervelli had already taken his stride, but he saved his hands. Nothing from his hands had committed, so he still had enough left on his swing to adjust to that breaking ball.
So it's another 3-run lead for the Pirates. Bouncer toward Uribe at third. There's 1. There's 2. Pittsburgh adds an insurance run in the 9th. Last call for the Braves. Uribe, Brzezinski, and Cunningham are coming up. Sensation Charlie XCX will perform after the game this Wednesday, June 10th, for a free post-game concert presented by Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines. VIP field and backstage passes are now available. Go to Braves.com/concerts for all the details. Michael Keaton enjoying the game tonight, and a few autographs signed as he makes his way out of the ballpark. He's in town, I believe, shooting a movie. Told.
There's a lot of folks in town right now shooting movies.
I'm one of his biggest fans. I love Michael Keaton. One of my favorites was Night Shift.
Oh yes, it's a great movie.
Yeah, big Braves fan Stephen David Calhoun sent me a note on Twitter that Michael Keaton's in town filming the movie The Founder, about the founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc, who used to own the San Diego Padres.
Filming it out in Canton.
I know last weekend Peyton had to run over to Top Golf one night. I said, well, what's the big deal? What's the hurry, Dad? Megan Fox is over there.
Oh.
I said, oh, really?
Need somebody to drive you?
Yeah. No, he can do that on his own now, so I couldn't use that as an excuse.
So Mike Melanson's on to try to finish it off for the Pirates. Juan Uribe leads off. Melanson's got a big arm. He's got some flashy shoes too. Check those out.
Go with McCutcheon's gloves.
I was going to say, you rather have those shoes or McCutcheon's gloves?
I'm going gloves, man.
Yeah,
those are top notch.
You guys know me, I'm going shoes. Bouncing ball to first. And Rodriguez wins the race to the bag. There's the first out tonight.
This guy's really been a good pickup for them. They got him from Boston in the deal for Joel Hanrahan and Brock Holt. Now they might like to rethink that Brock Holt part of it. He's turned into a good player. But last year, 33 saves for Pittsburgh, a 1.90 ERA. The year before that, once he took over that role as a closer, 16 saves and 1.39 ERA.
A.J. Pierzynski's the batter. A.J.'s reached a couple of times, once on an error and once with an RBI double that gave the Braves a 3-1 lead in the third. Atlanta held that lead through 4. But Neil Walker, a 3-run homer in the 5th. Starling Marte, a 2-run homer in the 6th. And the Pirates have come back to lead big. There's an upfield shot by Pierzynski. And A.J.'s aboard with 1 out.
Tell you what, A.J.'s persistent, if not consistent, in the 9th inning. Had the big home run the other day in Arizona to get the Braves back within 1, and now a 1-out single.
You know what? That's what the veterans on this team said they would do. They would grind out every at-bat, every base running opportunity. And Pierzynski's lived up to his word. Here's Cunningham. He has a run and a hit tonight. He's got 6 hits in his last 13 at-bats. And that went right back to the mound. Bad throw. Monson threw it away. And Pierzynski's on his way to third. That'll bring the tying run to the plate. That had game-ending double play written all over it. Monson just threw a lawn dart into center field.
Yes, he did. No way to describe it other than a lawn dart. He had a little bit too much time to think about it. Had to wait a little bit for the shortstop to get there and just led him to the wrong side of the bag. That's all.
By about 12 feet. A little bit like Jim Johnson's throw the other day that cost the Braves a run that turned out to be a huge run in that 9-8 loss. Maybe the Braves can capitalize.
If you put the ball in play, you never know what's going to happen. And the Braves have done a good job of that tonight. 4 Pittsburgh errors. And Pedro Siriaco is in the batter's box. If he can reach, Joey Turdoslavich will make his season debut. He's on deck. Strike 1.
But and that's the thing that drives me crazy about today's game when you talk about offensively that strikeouts don't matter. They're just another out. Look at all the extra opportunities this club has created for itself this year by knocking down their strikeout total and putting the ball in play. And if that doesn't speak to, well, yeah, strikeouts do matter, then I don't know what does.
Couldn't agree more.
No balls, 2 strikes for Siriaco. Monson trying to pitch around his fielding error. Actually throwing error. Men at the corners. And Siriaco representing the tying run. Cunningham's got good speed at first. Keep an eye on him. 0-2 pitch. Ball just foul at third. He missed a double by inches. That might have scored 2.
Every time Pedro hits the ball hard, it's an out. Or in that case, foul. He needs another flare.
Gong guards the line of third. Big hole between short and third. Big gap in left center. If Pedro can pull the ball there, Braves will be in big time business. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Pedro's wearing out that netting in front of the Pirates dugout. He's hanging tough.
Nice play by Bo Porter. I can see Bo wave a few of them around here in the 9th.
Sharply hit, base hit. Run is in. One hit back by Siriaco. 10-8.
Said before about Siriaco, who should have and had made the club out of spring training and got cut when the Braves added 2 players right before the beginning of the season in the Kimbrel deal. This guy can hit. He had a good spring, and look at this pitch. Cervelli said he wanted the ball in the dirt. He was going down to block it. He still hit it hard.
That's just a great at bat. And ultimately, like I say, tough pitch for a base hit.
So here's Joey Turdoslavich. 9 hits and 5 RBIs in his rehab stint. Remember, he hurt his wrist on a diving play at third base as the first baseman this spring. This is his first big league at bat of the season.
I asked him before the game about his at-bats, his rehab at-bats, how they felt, and he said felt good. I said, did you get enough? And he said, yeah, I believe so, and from both sides of the plate.
It was his left wrist. He went to the DL April 5th. Began his rehab May 25th.
That sign from Freddie was basically shorten up your lead and don't get doubled off on a line drive.
Melanson versus Turdoslavich. 10-8 now. And a roller foul, strike 1. Braves bench. Go ahead, Joe.
Joey was having a good spring too before he got hurt. Always aggressive.
Braves bench has 20 pinch hits this year. They have 3 pinch hit homers this season, 1 more than all of last year. 0-1. Play 0-2. Melanson wants a new sequence. And now has it. 0-2 for Turdoslavich.
I know we keep saying this, Chip, but it's just those dadgum add-on runs that keep really stabbing the Braves, and that run in the top of the 9th. Otherwise, you got the tying run at second. Go ahead, run at first.
Like I said, it's tough to outscore your own pen when they're struggling. That's been the fate of the Braves tonight. Braves have scored 8 on 14 hits against a Pirate team that's been pitching lights out for about a month. Again, the 0-2. Bouncing ball up the middle. There's 1. There's 2. The Pirates were perfectly placed, and Mercer starts a double play, and that ends the ball game. Braves hitting 4 double plays tonight. The bullpen allowed 6 runs. Despite scoring 8 and 14, it wasn't enough in Game 1 of the series. The Pittsburgh Pirates celebrate a 10-8 victory here in Game 1 at Turner Field. We are back to Atlanta to wrap things up right after this.